I'm going to tell you a little bit about some of the things that we've been doing at the association over the past few years. I joined the association last year. As Sean said, I was at CITB for many, many years, and I work with quite a few of the trade associations who are part of the IF, so it's good to see so many friends in the room. So I'm going to give you a little bit of a background of what the association's done over the past few years. Some of this work was obviously started before I joined the association, initially led by our chief, Graham Arundel, and with support from my predecessor, Richard Whiting, who's in the room here. Big Rich. Some of the things that were produced, I'll talk about. I've got a couple of little videos to break things up a little bit, rather than me just talking. But I'm going to pose a few challenges for us. How do we kind of take these things forward? How can we make this work? There's been some fantastic presentations today, lots of things that are sort of really lined up. One of the things I always say is I try to learn something new every day, and I can assure you I've learned a number of things today from what we've already heard. So a couple of videos, and then I think we're going to do the Q&A at the end of the session, but if anybody's got a burning question, put it on the screen, but I'll be around all day, so happy to pick up anything at the end of the day. So just think about where this initiative came from. We heard this morning from Sean looking at the changes in terms of how people are wanting information, how they're wanting training, how they want to learn awareness, how they want to be upskilled. We've heard quite a bit about technology, and just the previous discussion was talking about how that may be used in the future to help us develop things. The key thing that we were looking at is it's got to be easy to use. There's got to be lots of options. It's got to be ease of access. Because if you can't get into something, what are you going to do with it? It's not going to go anywhere. So my colleagues examined a range of different things, different mediums, different ways to do things, and came up with an idea. As Sean mentioned, there are two parts to our association. Obviously, the higher association you're probably all aware of, but our members also are involved in the event side of things. So anything from your garden fete up to getting things ready for Glastonbury. But the focus initially for this thing that we came up with was tools, plant, and equipment. And of course, a lot of that equipment is used for people who work at Height. So what was created? Well, they decided to use a virtual reality platform. They looked at lots of different mediums and how to do it. They worked with actually the University of West of England down at Bristol, and some young graduates who were on the gaming degree there came up with some ideas. At the time, Android was really the only platform that could be utilised because Apple just didn't want to play in that space at the time. So they thought about, okay, well, let's do it. The big thing about this, though, was how can they actually measure what people are doing? What are they going to be able to do as a result of doing this? How can they check that somebody's been through it? What's going to be the result? Do they need to take it again? Does it need to be refreshed? So one of the key things was to make sure that people were able to actually record what they'd done. And it wasn't just about passing or failing, it was about what did they learn, what are they taking away from it. There was 20 modules that were put together. Hopefully you can see those on the screen there. You can see there were a couple of modules that were put together specifically around working at Height. Familiarisation more than actually some of the quality programmes that we're aware of, but it was just getting people aware of these things. The key thing for this, though, was this wasn't meant to look like something from Call of Duty or something you'd see on PlayStation 4. This was about entry level. This was about using a new medium to get people to do things in a safe space. What they also did was they decided to say, okay, if we're using one particular platform, can we use various different methods to operate it? So when it started off, it was Oculus. If you've seen the Oculus Go headsets, they're about £200, £250 to go. You don't need a mobile phone. You just plug it in, download it. And we thought, that's pretty good. We took those out to lots of people and we trialled them with people. We also created 2 modules using the Vive system. Has anybody seen the Vive system with the paddles and the whole wraparound? Yeah? Sean's seen it? Fantastic. But one of the problems that you actually have is if you take that outside, the actual reflectors to pick up the signals when you're going through the virtual reality experience, the light messes with them, so it doesn't work properly. So we had a real issue around that. So we thought, okay, well, let's see what we can do. We'll go with the Oculus stuff. Next slide I'm going to bring up is just showing you a little video. And as I say, it's a video in terms of some of the tools. As I say, it's not meant to look like Call of Duty. It's meant to take somebody through an experience, to get them to learn something, to get them to see something, to record something and go back again. So we developed this, we started to share it with members, we took it around to see people. People thought the Oculus headsets were great, but then people said, you know what, we've heard about this Google Cardboard thing. Could you do it on Google Cardboard? I wear reading glasses, and sometimes using some of the headsets can mess with you a little bit. And somebody said, well, you might not get the same experience, but could you use it on a tablet? And we thought, that probably sounds like a good idea. Could we use it on a tablet? So we had to sit down. As I say, I joined the association last year, and prior to me joining, Rupert Douglas-Jones had joined. Rupert's our executive director, and we kind of strategized what we could do, where we could take it, what was the next steps we needed to do. But the key thing for us to work out how we were going to really get this technology to support working at height and look at well-being was to really make it accessible for everybody. We wanted to be able to personalize it so people could actually really go through that experience. Almost build up an electronic CV of things that they've done. I guess one of the main things of using VR, and I think it was touched on a little bit earlier on, in terms of using technology in a safe environment, in a safe space. So, you can experience certain things, but you are in a confined environment. Working at height can be dangerous if it's not done properly. So that was it. That was a key determinant for us. And a lot of our members, we're a not-for-profit trade association, they have equipment that's used, and there's a number of members in the room with us today, and we wanted to see, okay, how can we utilise that? What could we do? What could we do better? Sean mentioned at the beginning when he introduced me that we're looking at a careers strategy, and we've developed our careers and hire strategy. The key thing for us is that we actually want people to join the sector, because if we don't get people joining the sector, I'm afraid we've got an ageing workforce, whichever way we look at it. And we need to get people to start to put this as a career choice in whatever bit of the industry that they actually work in, but we actually do need to get people to think about it. So for us, and Sean talked about it before, and as I say, some of the things you put up earlier this morning, it was brilliant. Just thinking about that, people expect to use technology in their everyday life. They want to use it, so we've got to make sure that we're doing things. So we got our heads together, we worked out what we were going to do. As I say, VHI is a great product, and we've updated it, and we're doing some more stuff, but we came up with a new project. So the project's called Project Phaeton. Phaeton is a vehicle with 4 wheels, and there's 4 specific aims of this particular project. One is to create new VR experiences. One is to integrate that into immersive learning through AR. One's to look at 3D, and one's to look at 2D, so the 4 bits of the 4 wheels. We're going to create 5 specific experiences. If you just think for a moment, working at height, we've got to make sure that we understand where we are, our surroundings. So we're understanding about things move around on the site, so maybe banksman, marshalling, as you can see that. What are we doing when we actually get to where we're going to do some work? What are we looking at? What's in the air? What are we drilling into? What are we fixing? What are we removing? What are we repairing? We need to understand about the environment, what we're doing, and the interactions around what happens when we do things, what happens when we don't do things. As I say, we want to get people interested in the industry. And the last one, mental health awareness. But an excellent talk from Brian this morning in terms of thinking about getting us in that right space to be able to do something. Quite heartening, the work that you had to do to get Rob back on, literally back on his feet and get him working again. But it's an area that a lot of people haven't thought about, so we decided that we'd actually put together an experience. We worked with CITB, with Kevin Fear, and we decided we'd use the Building Mental Health Toolbox Talk module And we put that into a VR experience. I've got a short video to show you in a minute or two about that. We think it's important that everybody uses that, and in the new year you'll start to hear stuff from the association for people to utilise it. It's important that we get everybody the opportunity just to see that, whatever their role may be. And as Brian said earlier, we've got to start building up mental health first aiders. We've got to get people talking about this. We've got to be in the right frame of mind to work at Height. It's important that we do that. One of the big things that Rupert and I discussed was how could we take this forward and how could we get more people involved in things. Sorry. So we decided the key thing for us was we'll not just create experiences, we'll actually develop an editor. Why would we pay creative developers a fortune to create apps? We can develop the system, and then with a little bit of training, any of us can create VR experiences. So just think about that for a moment. So app development, development of certain modules can cost anywhere 8, 10, 12,000 pounds. It's an awful lot of money if you think all the different businesses that we have, if people want to have bespoke things for their own use. So we thought, no, let's create an editor. So the key part of this project, Project Phaeton, is that we have developed an editor. It's in beta form at this moment in time. We had a careers event up in Lincoln a couple of weeks ago, and we created a VR module for somebody working on an industrial floor scraper. And there was 1,000 children went through this careers event, and they put the headsets on, they did stuff on the tablets, and they got to sit on this machine and then use it in VR. 1,000 kids, fantastic. It's on the web. But that's just one example. But just think about what we can do. Just got a couple of photographs of a couple of events that we've been at recently, where we showcase this. Somebody's got the Oculus there, and there's the Google Cardboard there. But you can buy these for 3 or 4 quid. I've got plenty over on the stand if somebody wants to come and get a few from me before you leave. But the big thing about the new project is, as I say, Android was in place when we started this journey a few years ago. The new stuff that we've got coming on board is iOS as well. Pretty much everybody's got a smartphone these days. You can buy a tablet, an Android tablet, for £80 in one of the supermarkets. So just think about the possibilities we've got there, bring these things forward. I just want to show a brief video about the mental health module, so hopefully we'll get the technology to work again. hopefully you thought that was interesting. As I say, it's just a 3-minute video on taking somebody through what they would see when they go through the experience. It's not as powerful as the video we saw this morning, but it just tries to point out some of the areas of support that we can give. We're not psychologists, but we can certainly signpost and help people. The big thing for me really, though, is posing the question, how can we work together? We've talked quite a bit about technology, but how can we assist wellbeing and assist people working at Height? As an association, we want to work with people. The editor will be available to be used in sort of more of a beta version, probably in the second quarter of next year. As I say, we'll put information out about the toolbox talk and the other experiences, but we want to work with other people. We want to get people involved in this. This is really important, and we need your help to do it. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you.